As the draft continues to get closer and closer, a lot of Lions fans are focusing on the potential rookies that the Lions might get. However, though, there is one storyline that continues to persist and is not going away anytime soon. And we're going to talk about it today, folks. So stay tuned.
What are we? What makes us what we are and what we're going to be? It's grit. It's what we started with last year, guys. Doesn't matter if you have one ass cheek and 3 toes. I will beat your ass.
Can definitely compete with the big dogs.
10-5 end zone touchdown Detroit Lions.
You guys are unbelievable, man. I'm telling you.
We are driven by Detroit.
Hello, Lions fans, and welcome back once again to yet another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. I'm your host, David T. Pike, and as always, we're diving on in. So, here's the thing, folks. When it comes to this offseason in particular has been, I would say, rather intriguing in the sense that, there's a lot of fans that would probably describe this offseason kind of like a roller coaster ride. Because there have been ups, there have been downs, there have been fans that have been very vocal about how they have not been happy with some of Brad Holmes' signings, though that is starting to change. There have also been people that have said other things. But again, it's been kind of like an up and down kind of swerving when it comes to this offseason. And the reason why I would say that is because there were a lot of high aspirations from some Lions fans going into this offseason that the team was going to go out and try and make some high-profile acquisitions to the defense to try and complement the offense to ensure the Lions' 2024 postseason success and ambitions. However, though, despite the wish or desire of a lot of Lions fans, the Lions have remained absolutely 100% resolute in their process of only acquiring players that they want. And that's regardless of whatever kind of profile or status that they have. They want the players that they want. Period. End of discussion. And as Brad Holmes has stated, in his opinion, he thought that the Lions had their best free agency period ever since he and Dan Campbell got here back in, and took over back in 2021. Now again, some Lions faithful may decide to disagree with this due to the fact that the Lions did not really make a whole lot of high-profile signings. Again, the two main high-profile signings were the fact that we went out and we signed DJ Reader to a multi-year contract. It was a 2-year deal. And then we also we signed Kevin Zeitler. Again, I don't remember how you pronounce it, but I'm trying my best here. We went out and we signed him to a 1-year deal to replace Jonah Jackson. Those right there were the two most high-profile acquisitions that the Lions had as far as signings. We also made a trade with the Bucks to get cornerback Carlton Davis, so that way the Lions could also have a better cornerback option than what we had previously. Other than that, some people would probably say that the moves have been not necessarily as memorable. But again, for the most part, the Lions have been active in free agency. They have gone out. They have gotten some, pretty good players. But the thing is now is that the focus of the last couple of weeks prior to this was about the free agency. Now the focus is changing. Now it's transitioning to the NFL draft, which is literally about to start in about 3 weeks. And it's going to start in Detroit. So a lot of people, Lions fans primarily, are trying to figure out what prospects either their team is going to go after or other teams are going to go after and who they're potentially interested in. That's literally what a lot of people are talking about right now because it's like, okay, draft's about to start. Now we're curious as to what is going to happen. And that in of itself is a particularly interesting conversation for Lions fans and analysts because as we well know, there are many people who have general ideas about who the Lions could be interested in. But the point of the matter is that unlike years of the past, there's no real general consensus player that most people agree or think is going to be the Lions pick at number 29 because nobody kind of really knows. That's kind of one of the best aspects of having a really good roster is that you're not kind of getting pigeonholed into one singular aspect. You can pretty much go any number of ways that you would like to. So again, the draft is what a lot of people are talking about. However, though, for Lions fans, there is one conversation outside of the draft and free agency that is continuing to kind of bubble or simmer underneath the surface. And this is a conversation that continues to come up time and time again for Lions fans. And that is what, I'm going to just simply put it this way. Lions fans are earnestly waiting for some news, some update on the contract extensions for quarterback Jared Goff and wide receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown. And let's be fair and honest here. A lot of Lions fans have been waiting for, I would say at least at this point, either a couple of weeks to almost 2 or 3 months to try and get some news on, hey, where are the negotiations at? How are the negotiations going? Because we really haven't gotten a whole lot of information about this whole situation. And when you don't have a lot of information, unfortunately, it is very natural for people to start to speculate, to start to assume, to start to potentially wonder where the negotiations are, how well they're doing, what's going on with the two parties involved. And at that point, you start making these assumptions and these generalizations that may or may not be true. And I would say more often than not, they are not true. So, when you're thinking about this, that also then leads Lions fans to start worrying. They start concerning themselves about what is going on. Because when you have nothing to go on, you start overthinking. And that is what a lot of people are doing in this situation, I feel, is they're overthinking the situation regarding whether or not something is going on with the whole re-signing process for Goff and St. Brown. And a lot of these overthinkers are proposing ideas as to why that might be the case. Such issues that I've heard of, one in particular I've heard of, is money issues. Now, what does that exactly mean? Money issues can have two separate meanings to this whole point. It can either be, one, that potentially the Lions themselves are having a difficult time, a difficult situation of trying to accommodate the demands of both players, Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jared Goff. Or the second point it could be is that the players themselves are being outlandish with their demands. However, for me, this simply just doesn't make any damn sense. And again, I think that people are simply overthinking the situation. Let me explain here. When you think about this situation and everything that it entails, we first and foremost have to go to what the Lions currently have in terms of salary cap. According to Over the Cap and Spot Rack, the Lions are about $26 million with cap space, almost 27. It kind of depends on where you go to, but $27 million in cap space. That's not factoring in right now Brock Wright's new deal that he just got where he signed a 3-year deal for $12 million with the Detroit Lions. And that's also not factoring in Cameron Sutton's release. We're going to talk about that here in a little bit, but those two deals have not yet been factored in. So, let's understand something. The Lions, at $27 million, currently have more than enough cap space to sign Jared Goff and Amon-Ra St. Brown right now. So, the thought that the Lions can't support these two new contracts, even if they're supposed to be substantial, which I fully expect and intend that they will be, is completely ludicrous. The Lions have the money. And furthermore, the Lions are not going to go out and sign contracts to have them not work in their favor or work against them. So, with these extensions being the way that they are, I think personally what's going on here, both players are still on the roster and they're still going to stay on the roster. And once the contract extensions are actually handed out, the full salary cap implications are not actually going to take effect until the very next year because they're contract extensions. So since the players, like I said, are still on the roster, it's an extension. It's not necessarily a new contract that starts right away. It's going to start once the old deal is officially done. That's point number one out of that. Point number two is this. Obviously now some people are going to say, well, what about the players wanting too much money? Again, I just think this is absolutely bogus. Let's understand something here, folks. What kind of people are Jared Goff and Amon-Ra St. Brown? These are not guys that are greedy. These are not guys that are all about themselves. These are not guys that are all about having everything for themselves. They're team players. They want to win. They're not necessarily all about money. However, though, the Lions players that we're talking about, Goff and St. Brown, they do want to get paid. And they deserve to get paid. But they don't want to get paid to the detriment of the team. So, let's also consider the fact for this whole conversation that both Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jared Goff are not only top 10 players at their respective positions, but they're also top 100 players in the NFL. Last year, Goff and St. Brown were 66 and 67 in that category. It's highly likely that they're going to be in the top 100 again this year. I expect they're going to be even higher. So when you think about it, how do I put this without it sounding kind of a funky way? Both of these players have proven that they deserve to get paid like top players. But I'm not expecting that they're going to try and break the bank over this whole situation. I expect that they're going to get paid. They're going to get paid substantially well. But I don't expect them to literally hold the Lions hostage and put them over a barrel. Now, the second potential thing that has been discussed from a lot of Lions fans is that the Lions may not be as interested as has been reported. Now, when I'm talking about this particular point, I'm specifically talking about Jared Goff, not Amon-Ra St. Brown. There's not been anybody that I can think of that's talked about the Lions not being interested in St. Brown. That would just be completely asinine out of this world. It's about Jared Goff, and the reason why is because there are still a lot of Goff doubters, there are still a lot of Goff haters that have expressed consistently that what the Lions are saying about Jared Goff is just coach speak. It's just, fluff pieces, that the Lions are not really interested in retaining him because they believe 100%, or they're so delusional to believe it, that Hendon Hooker is going to be the starter next season in 2025. But again, this is simply just wishful thinking for those that are Goff doubters or haters. Because let's understand something here. How many times have we heard Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell say the exact same thing, albeit maybe worded a little differently? The Lions front office team of Holmes and Campbell have stated it more times than I care to recollect that they are committed to Goff, and they have expressed that they are in negotiations to retain his services. Campbell has specifically said that both Goff and St. Brown's contract extensions are priorities, and Holmes has said that both Goff and the Lions are in alignment with the nature of the negotiations. So if Campbell is saying that the contract extension is a priority, and that Holmes is saying that the Lions and Goff are in alignment, word of advice for you. Here's the big news. The Lions are going to sign Jared Goff to a new contract. It's going to happen. So for those that think it's not going to happen, I don't know what fantastical world you've been living in, but it's not reality. And then point number 2, just to go to the whole Hendon Hooker side of things. Those that think, and this is why I keep having this conversation, because there are people, you still find them in small pockets or they will crawl out and they will make their point here or there, but there are still people that think Holmes and Campbell will hand the reins of the offense over to Hooker, and to me, this is just simply delusional. Think about it. In 2025, Hooker's going to be 27 years old, folks. And at that point, for most NFL quarterbacks, they're getting drafted when they're 22-something years old. They will have already had 5 years of experience, whether it's as a practice, whether it's in practice or games, whatever the case is. By that time, they're already seasoned veterans of the NFL game. Hooker's only going to have 1 year of experience necessarily, because the first year that he was in the NFL, he spent most of it on injured reserve. He wasn't taking meaningful practice reps. He wasn't doing any of that. He was rehabbing. Now, he was learning the ins and outs of Ben Johnson's offense a little bit, but again, still not to the extent that it's going to be for starting level quality play. And then, think about this. Freaking Campbell himself in a recent interview about a month ago said that the Lions, they still have no freaking clue what Hooker's going to be. They have no idea what he is yet. All that Campbell said was that Hooker showed progress. Now, that in of itself is a very vague phrase, because it's like, okay, well, how much progress did he show? Did he show a little progress, a bit of progress, a lot of progress? We simply don't know. It's just that he showed progress. And it's not that, was it mind-blowing progress? Whatever the case might be, we just don't know. So it's like, listen, just because he showed progress doesn't necessarily mean that he's even close to playing yet. And it doesn't even mean that after another year of being a backup quarterback, he's going to be ready to play yet. And at 27, I'm not wanting to hand the reins over to him, especially since, oh, wait a minute, to take us back to the previous point I just made, Jared Goff's going to have a new contract anyway. So, to the understanding of the situation as I just described it, there is simply no way that a front office tandem like Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes, who have made nothing but brilliant, purposeful, deliberate decisions, that have had so much logic and reason would do something so brash and idiotic as handing the reins of the offense over to Hendon Hooker after they give Jared Goff contract extension. That to me is just absolutely ridiculous. Now, honestly, for me, this is why I think the Lions have not yet announced a deal, or they have not yet put the news out yet. Partly because, one, they don't have that news yet, but I fully believe that the reason why it's not happened just yet is a simple reason. The Lions are waiting until after the draft, and I fully believe that the reason why is an especially good reason in light of recent events. Let's think about this really quickly. The draft is unpredictable. Regardless of what some people would like to tell you or attest to or make a living on, there is no way you can predict what the NFL draft is going to do. It is one of the most unpredictable, one of the most exciting events in the natural world because there's no way to know what's going to happen. My point is this. The Lions currently have 8 draft picks, right? Well, here's the thing. If you go to Spot Rack, it will tell you that if the Lions don't trade up or down, they just keep the picks that they have, their draft class is going to take up a total of $8.9 million. Now, I can't and I'm not going to predict whether or not Holmes is going to make any trades in the draft, but I can highly speculate that I believe that he will because Holmes has made trades almost every single year, if not every single year that he's been the GM of the Detroit Lions. So it's like, okay, if Brad Holmes has made trades in every single draft that he's been in up to this point, what's to stop him from doing it this year? I fully expect that he's going to. So if you already have that understanding down, you have to think about it. That 8.9 can either go up or down depending upon what happens. My whole point is this. The Lions currently, according to Spot Rack, like I said, $26.9 million. If you take that $8.9 million off for the draft class, you're now down to $18.9 million in cap space. So for me, the Lions, it makes much more sense for them to wait until after the draft, knowing what they're going to be coming out of the draft with, to know how much cap space they're going to potentially have to work with before they decide to actually make those signings. Not necessarily because they can't or they're afraid of doing it, but it's better to have a full understanding of the landscape that you're about to go into before you just rush brazenly on in and you have no idea what you're getting yourself into. Second, the Lions, like I said, I talked about this earlier, the Cameron Sutton situation. The Lions have more money that's coming their way on June 2nd this year. This is because the Lions designated Cameron Sutton to be a post-June 1 cut. This serves 2 main purposes. The first main purpose is that what it does is it spreads out the dead cap hit that Cameron Sutton's bonus money has over the next 2 years. So this year and the next year, instead of it all being put onto this salary cap year. So it spreads out the hit. But the second thing that it does is that on June 2nd, the salary cap money that the Lions are going to get back is then added to the Lions salary cap. It comes back on June 2nd because it's considered a post-June 1st cut. So think about it. On June 2nd, the Lions are then going to get back $10.5 million to their cap space. That money is going to be crucial for the Lions because they're not only trying to negotiate contracts with Goff and St. Brown. Those are the ones they're trying to negotiate right now. But they've also got to negotiate contracts potentially with Decker and definitely with Penei Sewell. So that's money that has to be saved for that as well. So again, you're playing smart. You're playing ahead of the curve. You're trying to prepare and game plan. And then third, let's just put this out there very plainly. To understand this, you have to just simply know that contracts are not formatted as a one-fits-all kind of situations. Every contract is unique. Every contract is different because the language and the figures are going to change from person to person, from player to player. And what happens is both parties have to agree to that language. They have to agree to that figuring. So for me, the Lions are not going to just push out a contract as fast as they possibly can, just so that way they have that long-term security right now. They want to find a contract that works both with their short-term salary cap situation, but also retains the players long-term. Because again, the Lions' process is to do what is not only best for the team, but also what is best for the players. And you have to understand, that takes time and patience. And both Goff and St. Brown know they aren't going anywhere. They have plenty of time to get their deals done. So they're not sweating it. And neither am I. My whole point is this, to end this up. I go back to the saying that almost everybody is familiar with. Good things come to those who wait. Again, patience is a virtue. The Lions faithful have waited a long time for a lot of things, and I suspect they're going to have to wait a little bit longer for news on Jared Goff and St. Brown's new contracts, but it will all be worth it in the end, and I guarantee you it'll definitely be interesting when we find out how much the Lions actually made some really good deals with both of these star players. But anyway, folks, that's my video. That's the full summation of it, all of my logic, all of my reason. So having said that, I'm going to end the episode, and I just want to say thank you all for watching yet another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. If you like what you saw, by all means, I highly encourage you all to watch the next episode. Also encourage you all to do one of these three things: like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. If by chance you subscribed in the past and forgot to do so at the time, or you just subscribed and not had a chance to do so, again, I highly encourage you all to subscribe. It really helps me out, and I'm thankful for every subscription I can get my hands on. But also, want to encourage you all, please, make sure you also hit that bell notification icon at the bottom, so that way you never miss any more content that I push out. Again, subscription numbers are always going up, but we want to make sure you turn on that notification icon, so that way you never miss any more content as soon as I push it out, so that way you guys can jump right back in. Also encourage y'all to share this content with your Lions friends and family members. Share it here on YouTube, share it on Twitter, share it on Facebook, share it anywhere and everywhere you can with everybody and anybody that you can. The more we share it, the greater the channel spreads, the greater the channel grows. And with that being said, I just want to say to everybody again, thank you all for being an awesome, amazing, wonderful community. You guys are just absolutely the best. And I also want to say to y'all, hope you got something that makes you happy in your life. Hope you got something that makes you smile. And with that, hope you also enjoyed the content. But with that also, God bless. Hope y'all are having a great day. And until the next time we meet, I'll see y'all in the next episode.